Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Houston. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with Gabby Sparts, and we're ready for round number 8, where we've got number 10 ranked on the top 25 pro rankings, Eric Froehlich. He's playing against Haibing, who is actually a local Texan, born and bred here in Texas. And what's the matchup look like here, Gabby? What's Haibing playing?
Yeah, so Haibing is playing Rally the Ancestors, and Eric is on Jeskai, Dark Jeskai. I don't. There's so many things you can call it.
You know what he calls it?
Jeskai Oreo.
No.
Oreo. What is it?
You're close.
It's like.
He calls it Is It Oreos?
Is it Oreos? Ah, so close.
He likes to have fun with the deck naming for sure. But yeah, he's on Dark Jeskai.
Yeah, deck has a lot of names, but it is Dark Jeskai. We did see Eric earlier. If you were tuning in earlier, we got to see him play a very, very sweet match. It was very close. He came out victorious.
I can see that he won, yeah.
Yes, he came out victorious.
Yeah, so that's another thing to keep an eye on here is that both players sitting at 7-0. Remember, you can have 3 losses and make it to day 2.
Mm-hmm.
These players, though, aren't going to be considering that in their equations. They're going to be thinking about trying to make the top 8 of the tournament. And with 1,800 players, I think, in that range, we're going to get a final number a little later in the day. But a ton of players in the room here. They're going to need a really good record to make the top 8. So they're not thinking about day 2, and they're thinking about, putting together an undefeated day 1 or maybe an X-1 day 1. As we say that, Jason's Prodigy comes down for Eric, and he has immediately put the ball in Haibing, who's court, who's going to say, well, I'm going to at least slow you down here. I'm going to use Sidisi's Faithful, sacrifice it, and put Jace right back in your hand.
I really like that from Haibing. He doesn't have, you don't really want Eric to keep improving the quality of his hand, keep finding better cards, truly. You don't mind having the Sidisi's Faithful. It's not a very impactful card. You can get it back with Rally. So a nice way to slow down Eric right there. I really like that.
All right, so Eric is going to play a land and replay Jace before passing the turn back.
Yeah, and the Jace is really nice here for Eric. It's gonna flip sometime soon. It's gonna allow him to improve the quality of his cards. So the cutthroat for Haibing, he's off to kind of a slow start for Rally. This is not really where he wants to be right now.
And here we go. Delayed a little bit from Haibing, but Eric is now activating Jace here, and he's going to be well on his way to getting that transformed into a Planeswalker as well. You can see in his hand he has a Duress. He is playing that in the main deck. He's got 3 of them.
And I'm not sure. Did you get to take a look at Haibing's hand before at any point in this match?
No, he's kind of kept that a little closer.
Yeah, so it's interesting because he hasn't really done anything in the first couple of turns. So you can, other than the Faithful. So you can maybe assume if you're Eric, if he has a couple of collected companies, maybe a Rally the Ancestors, but it's kind of a slow start for him. So
yeah,
Eric's looking pretty good right here.
He's looking great. So Eric just resolved Painful Truths, and he actually discarded a Monastery Mentor off of it as well to hand size. So Eric has a full grip of spells here.
Yeah, we've seen Eric do the Painful Truths up to 8 discard to hand size multiple times today. So you can see the power of Painful Truths. When you can discard a Monastery Mentor, you're usually in pretty good shape.
It's basically Necro at this point. Now Haibing, like you said, slow start for him. He's going to crack an Evolving Wilds before taking his turn here, but he's going to need to get things going. This deck does tend to kind of plod along and not do anything too explosive until it starts resolving Rallies and that card right there, Collected Company.
So this is kind of what I was talking about earlier. You can make that assumption that he had to keep a company because his early game was just not there. So let's see what he's able to find right here. It looks like there's a Faithful at the front, maybe a Reflector Mage. Reflector Mage gets to bounce that the Jace, which is pretty nice right here.
Yeah, Jace is ready to flip too. 5 cards in the yard already.
He actually found a lot of cards here. He has a Catacomb Sifter, the Mage. I think there's a Cutthroat. I think those are all the options he has right here. So I think Reflector Mage is something that's the one that's also at the front. So I think he's really interested in that. And Catacomb Sifter is very nice here too. Catacomb Sifter is going to get him another creature, allow him to, when he does get a sack outlet, continue to sacrifice things, drain with Cutthroat, find more Cocos, find more Rally the Ancestors, which is really, really nice for him. So the Cutthroat gets in there. Goes into the red zone, and we see a pass back to Eric. So that was a very good turn for Haibing.
Much needed land off the top there for Eric. He actually didn't have any more lands in hand, I think.
No, that's the last one. He has a full grip of cards. It's all gas, but it's not.
Yeah. You know, interesting spot in the turn prior, because Eric did have and does have duress in hand. And like you said, he was probably thinking there's a darn good chance that Haibing has a collected company in his hand. But he knew that he wasn't going to hit his land drop, or was unlikely to hit his land drop. And so instead, he decided to play Painful Truth to dig for land. Now, he didn't find any with the actual Painful Truth, but it dug him deep enough to find one on the next turn. And now he gets a really nice turn here where he gets to play Monastery Mentor and Duress. Now, unfortunately for Eric, the Duress did whiff.
Yeah.
But he still gets a monk.
Yeah, so it is unfortunate because if you're Eric there, you have to make the decision. You do it earlier and lose a little bit of value. You get a higher chance of catching it before it actually gets, executed in this sense. Having your Duress whiff, it's bad, but he still gets a little bit of information of what's going on in Haibing's hand, and he does.
It's kind of good news, too.
Yeah. And, you're not that upset if you're Eric to see what's going on over there. You also get the Monastery Mentor and the Monk, so it's not all bad.
This is starting to get a little sketchy for him, though. Now, the Grim Haruspex certainly adds yet another wrinkle, and Haibing, who is kind of firing in all cylinders, the only thing he's missing is a repeatable sacrifice outlet and then a rally to really start to go off on Eric here.
Yeah, and Haibing's completely fine with this. He gets to sack the token, drain with Cutthroat. He gets to scry with a Catacomb Sifter. He gets to draw, too. So the way he chooses to order this will be kind of interesting because he presumably wants to scry and then draw. Yeah, so he gets to scry.
Yeah, he won't get the draw just because it was a token.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're correct.
But he does get the scry. And he put a card on the bottom and passed it back.
So something interesting in Eric's hand, he has a couple of Crackling Dooms. And that card was very good at the beginning of the format. It looks kind of bad now.
Doesn't look very good here, does it? I guess it does take out the Haruspex, is that right?
It does.
Okay, well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, he may need to do that. Again, Eric, not short on spells here. He has a full 7 in hand. And it's just a matter of, since he is missing his land drop this turn as well, of sequencing things out and getting it the way that he wants to be. He's going to actually pass the turn back to Haibing here.
Yeah, Haibing taking care of those
the Reflector Mage.
Yeah, Haibing taking care of those Jaces earlier really helps him because, as you see, Eric has so much that he can do and just not a lot of turns to do them. Or not a lot of mana to do it, rather.
Yeah, exactly. All right, there's Reflector Mage, and instead of killing the Monk, he's just going to use it to set back a lot of tempo on Eric, like you said, just strand a lot of cards in his hand. Eric does have a response, so he's going to fire off Crackling Doom while he still has the Monastery Mentor on the battlefield, so he'll get an extra Monk token here.
This is nice. The fact that this also triggers prowess on the other Monk will mean that it'll be able to block maybe that Cutthroat can't get into the red zone anymore. He could potentially want to trade it off with a Harris. Yeah, so the Haruspex is gone. He can't really trade with anything else at this point, but it will save him a point of damage. So
yeah, this isn't that bad for Eric. I mean, he is in an awkward position given his mana woes.
Right.
But, with no sacrifice outlet and no rallies, that card went right back on top of the library, though, for Haibing Hu. So that could be bad news for Eric Froehlich.
Yeah. So when you're in Eric's spot, whenever you see that, you can pretty much assume that's a rally, especially with the number of lands that Haibing has in hand.
Totally.
That's going to be either a Husk, a rally, or a collected company.
Yeah, exactly.
So double block is going to take care of that Catacomb Sifter, but Eric's life is actually really going to come. It's mattering a lot at this point. He's at 5.
He's at 4 now. Is he missing another land here? No, he has found one. Okay.
He's going to have to pay some life to actually use it.
Yeah, this is super interesting because, again, Eric is looking at this and saying, well, you put that card back on top. I know it's coming. But he looks at his hand and he doesn't actually have any great answers. He has no counters or anything like that. So he's just going to have to let Haibing do it. Oh, it was Reflector Mage.
Wow.
So he chump blocks. And that does it.
Yeah.
All right, so Haibing Hu, impressive.
That was very impressive.
Reflector Mage was like awesome that game, right?
It's funny because usually when you play against the rally players, when you see look, immediately leave it on top. When you look and immediately you put it on top, you can pretty much assume that's collected company. It's the best card in the deck. It's awesome. You just want to keep it always. And in his position too, the rally was pretty good. But yeah, here Reflector Mage just looked awesome. And Reflector Mage continues to look amazing in this deck constantly.
I love that card.
Yeah. Of course you do. You love that card.
Yeah, I have a weakness for those type of cards, and I gotta say I'm pretty happy to see that Reflector Mage has had such a big impact in Standard.
So if you were playing a deck this weekend, Marshall, what would you be playing?
You know, it was funny. Somebody actually asked me that in the chat on Twitch a little while ago, and they thought that I would probably want to play a Jeskai deck, like what Eric's playing. Because I like decks like that. I like the value decks, and I don't mind grinding. I like that too. But I actually wouldn't play that type of deck this weekend. I think I would play either a ramp deck, which is weird because I never choose to play a deck like
not about that ramp play?
I don't mind it, you know, but I've never, like in any competitive tournament I've ever played in, I've never picked a straight up ramp deck like that. I mean, I've played with like Lotus Cobra.
That's pretty cool.
But there was Jace and stuff, and yeah, that wasn't. It was capable of ramping, but wasn't a ramp deck. But I would actually take a dedicated ramp deck, and the one that stands out to me is red green with Kozilek's Return. I like that. That appeals to me in a big way. I think that's a really nice little 1-2 punch, and I think I would play a deck like that if I was going to play in this tournament.
Yeah, I like that deck a lot, and I like Kozilek's Return a lot. It's especially when the whole flashback shindig you can have is pretty powerful.
It's stupid.
It's very good at just cleaning up most board states. So no, it's pretty sweet. So taking a look at the players' sideboards, it looks like Eric has a couple of good. I mean, he's got the classic. Got to have to fight Rally in some way, shape, or form. So
So what does he have? What are the main tools?
Yeah, the couple of good things that he does have: 2 copies of Dispel. Dispel, obviously, very, very good against Haibing. You know, his 2 most impactful spells are both instant, both in the form
besides Reflector Mage.
Besides Reflector Mage, which has done serious work.
I was kidding.
That's kind of been the real MVP. So he has 2 copies of Dispel, which he's definitely going to bring in. He also has 3 Disdainful Strokes. So depending on how much room he has in his main deck, Disdainful Stroke.
Also good against those cards.
Very, very good against both those cards. And those are the cards he cares about, right?
Yeah. I also see that he's got a Kalitas Trader of Get here.
He does.
Which actually does work against that deck. It does exile your opponent's creatures when they die.
Yeah, and if you're Haibing, you're actually potentially thinking about bringing in some of your spot removal because Eric, they don't have deck lists, but he can assume that there are Kalitas in Eric's, there's 1 Kalitas in Eric's main deck, there's 2 in the sideboard, and you can just assume you need to take care of that creature. That is basically what Murderous Cut is in there for. So definitely interested in bringing in something like that. So it looks like Haibing has a couple of Duresses, the 2 Murderous Cut, and a bunch of 1/1 or yes.
A bunch of 1-ofs?
Yeah, 1-ofs, yeah. Out of all these creatures, he's not.
None of those look good.
None of those look good. I mean, he has Liliana, Merciless Executioner, Flashback Marauder, but none of these really do anything.
They all look bad against Eric.
Yeah.
Interesting seeing the 2 Onofenza. I wonder if those are for the mirror. Like, what are those? Like, he's not going to bring those in against Eric, is he? All right, looks like we're underway here in our second game. So, Haibing, who up 1 game over Eric Froehlich. And we'll see if Eric can equalize and force an exciting Game 3 conclusion. Or if Haibing Hu is going to welcome him to the Lone Star State by handing him his first loss of the tournament.
So funny story about Haibing Hu. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he brought all the Absent Falconers that are being played in this tournament today?
Yeah, all the ones that Luis Scott Vargas asked for. Yeah.
Well, I believe it's like
he brought 14
or something.
Yeah, he did. So that is the real thing. It's funny Haibing's not playing that deck.
Right, he just brought.
But he brought.
He did everybody a solid and brought the entire coop.
It was really no coop. Yes, he brought the flock. All right, so Eric once again with the turn to Jace. This time he's on the play, and there's Ailey, Eternal Pilgrim now for Haibing, which looks pretty good here. Solid little 2-drop, gonna do fine. But it's the kind of card that Eric doesn't really have to worry about for a while. So I think he's gonna be fine with that.
It does a little bit of work. It can attack through anything, which is nice. Not like Eric's creatures are fantastic at blocking anyway. But a 2/3 body is very relevant. Death Touch matters. So it's a nice place by Haibing. Compared to his start last game, it's significantly better.
All right, Fro's going to crack a Polluted Delta. After using his Jace, He actually discarded a Shambling Vent to the Jace, so it looks like no mana problems this time for Froehlich.
Yeah, and if you're Haibing here, you can assume Eric's probably a little more on the land-heavy side. You see, Shambling Vent is a very good card. It's a very good land in Eric's deck, so
yeah.
Probably a little bit, not flooded necessarily, but just heavier on the land side. It looks like Eric doesn't even have that many lands, actually.
Yeah, I guess he knew that he was going to cast Painful Truth.
Yeah.
He's got an extra one, but you're right, he doesn't have a ton of them.
The nice thing too, so it looks like Eric did bring in Radiant Flames.
Oop, here's Duress. Yeah, he did bring in the Radiant Flames, you're right. There's also Transgress the Mind, Gideon, Chandra. Eric thinks that Chandra is the best card in Standard that came from Oath of the Gatewatch.
I'm not surprised to hear that. Most of the cards in this format can be killed by Chandra. There's a couple ones that are kind of annoying, and a Fenza doesn't die. And then when you start talking about like the thought,
she can die.
She can't.
I guess I was -4.
Fair. I was thinking of like in the profitable exchange in which you get to keep your Chandra. I mean, sure.
Jeez, you are greedy.
You're not casting Chandra.
No,
just to
I like
sweep
it. Was a
board.
compliment. I mean, sometimes you do what you got to do, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a really nice hand here from Froehlich, and Haibing's now going to have to figure out what the heck he wants to take, as Eric gets to hit from many different angles with this hand. He can play Planeswalkers. He can next turn he can just slam Gideon and start to try to take over with a Gideon, but also he can sweep the board. If Haibing's plan is to play another creature here after the Duress resolves, then Eric can flip Jace and then play Radiant Flames if he doesn't take that. And he is going to take that.
Right.
It does say that Haibing has a follow-up play here, probably.
I like this play by Haibing. I mean, he's making a choice. He knows that if Eric does have that Radiant Flames, he's going to have more Radiant Flames in the deck. That's just going to be the case. But he's choosing to go the more aggro route or be able to, survive that Radiant Flames for the matter. It's a very good card against them. So I like the choice. Although he does have so much to do right here. So many cards to fight through. Yeah,
and this is an important turn for Eric. There's a lot of things that he could have done with his mana here. He could have played the Painful Truths that he just drew. He could have played Gideon, but he knows he needs to transgress now because Haibing is on the verge of having that 4 mana for Collected Company.
So if you're Eric here, you're pretty happy. You were gonna be very happy to take a Collected Company in particular, but at this point, I think you're taking probably Liliana or Reflector Mage. Oh, he's taking the Husk.
Yeah, I like taking the Husk. I mean, that is, the most important puzzle piece here.
That's fair.
Yeah, it's also the weakest on its own.
The reason I was saying that is because I think Eric has a chance to. I guess he can't really race it, so in that sense, it's pretty good. Yeah, no, actually, you're right. I really like that.
Eric still has his land drop to play. It's going to be...
Yeah, the other the fact that Transgress exiles is very significant here, so it does take Haibing down in the number of Husks, which does it handicaps him a little bit.
So Jace is going to transform plus, and Eric looks to be pretty stable here. Does he want to play his 2-drop? No, he doesn't.
Does he have Disdainful Stroke in hand, or
no,
is it just representing?
Well, he does have a Fiery Impulse. I don't think he has a Disdainful Stroke. So kind of interesting there for Eric. Because he could have played Soulfire Grandmaster, I believe. He has 2 basics here, yeah. Yeah, easily.
Yeah, well, what I will say that it's really nice is that Fiery Impulse is online, so he can take care of anything that's too problematic. He might even just want to be done with Ailey here, even though Ailey's not really going to deal any damage to to Jace right now because it's ticked up. Yeah, it's been ticked up. So.
Yeah, I don't think he cares about Ailey super much here.
You could care about something more like a Cutthroat. Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah, so there's a chance here. So Eric also has a choice of potentially wanting to untap Soulfire Grandmaster and then cast his spell, which it looks like that's what he might do, actually. You do get to gain some life. He is at 13, which is, something to keep in mind, especially against the Rally deck. So, yeah, he either has a choice here to Painful Truths, go down to 10, which is, a little scary. He could also Soulfire and take care of one of the other 2 creatures. Haibing he's not really representing anything too scary. So that could be pretty good. I'm not sure what else he has in hand, but he's set up to have does he have a Gideon?
He does.
Oh, there you go.
Boom.
That's very good too.
Giddy up.
All right, yeah, I like this. I like this better than everything else. And Mystic Monastery too. So now he's setting up for the next turn to be actually very, very good, especially with Jace. Jace is now online. He will be able to sweep anything if he wants with a Radiant Flames flashback.
All right, back over to Haibing, who here now has to figure out how it is that he wants to proceed. Last we saw, he didn't have a rally or collected company in his hand to sort of work towards. He just had some value creatures like Reflector Mage, and there's Reflector Mage. He's going to use it to take down the Knight, but he doesn't have any good attacks outside of that Cutthroat. And
Well,
even then, it's only for one.
right, and the problem for Haibing too is that you have the onboard sweep. You know it's there. So extending into this, like, it's not getting better for you. So at a certain point, you have to.
Which sweep?
Radiant Flames is in the graveyard.
He can just flash it back at any time?
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think that's what he's going to do. Yes.
Yeah, he's just going to do it now.
And he can't do anything about that. You know, he has to play into that, and he knows it's there.
Yeah. He's going to sacrifice his Reflector Mage to Ailey to gain 3 life here.
He gets to do the same with a Cutthroat too. It's nice because it stops them from getting exiled.
Froehlich still has his Gideon to use, and he's just going to rumble. I kind of had a feeling he might do that. And now the Soulfire Grandmaster is going to hit the battlefield as Eric passes the turn back to Haibing. Again, Eric finds himself down a game here, so he's the one who's looking to equalize and force a game 3. And he's looking to be in good spot. I mean, Haibing, who now has no board state outside of lands. He did find a Jace, though.
The thing, though, Haibing does not have a Husk in the graveyard. Yes, I was going to say, even top decking a rally here doesn't really do very much.
No. Yeah, remember the Husk got transgressed. Yeah.
Yeah, so even now, Eric's decision was transgressing on, was it turn 3 or so?
Yeah.
Looking very good. So Eric's pretty far ahead here. He just needs to press the advantage. Even though Haibing is at 21, he's in great shape. He just needs to make sure that Haibing can't have one of those big rally turns or do anything like that. Based on how Haibing's been playing, he doesn't have any of those cards in hand, so he can't be too worried at this point.
All right, so Fiery Impulse is going to take down Jason, bump Eric's life total up a little bit. Thanks to the Soulfire, and Crunch takes 7, Haibing Hu.
He also gets to gain 2 more right there.
Yeah. So he gained 5 life this turn?
Mm-hmm.
Jeez. That adds up very quickly. You can see that Eric has a Duress in his hand and a Flooded Strand sitting there.
It's interesting firing off this Duress. You might just do it for information, but at the same time, you also did see your opponent's not playing the cards that they would have played if they had them.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So when your opponent does that, then what's your incentive to really Duress, right? Are you just going to whiff? There's a chance that you might, but they wouldn't be trying to next level you so much. So, yeah, it's an interesting choice for sure.
Pay another copy of Soulfire Grandmaster. Eric feels like he can extend pretty cleanly into this rally deck, as it just doesn't have any way to punish him for doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah, this is just not a sequence that's going to get Haibing Hu the victory here. I mean, he's doing what he can do. You can't blame him, but when your turn is play a Cutthroat, play a City Sees Faithful just to bounce, random Soulfire Grandmaster, it's pretty tough. He's really going to need to find one of those marquee spells for his deck, the Collected Company or the Rally.
Yeah, and just the way the game is going right now. I mean, he was on a 2-turn clock. I guess that Soulfire Grandmaster being bounced gets him an extra turn, but at this point, he just needs so much to take care of this board between active Jace, active Gideon. Fiery Impulse take care of that.
Yeah, once again.
Yeah. Yeah. Gideon goes to dance right here with the Soulfire Grandmaster.
Boom. Yeah, this is adding up very quickly here for Froehlich.
Yeah. Haibing, I don't think there is a sequence of draws that Haibing can have here that get him out of the situation. He would need to have a Husk in his yard, and then he would have to chain a couple of rallies, and even then it's just not enough.
Here's Linvala. Liliana, excuse me. Does that work here? Oh, well, never mind.
Never mind.
So Fiery Impulse number 3 for the game finishes off Liliana.
Oh,
And
Chandra.
how about 6 extra damage added on to the already 7 that you were scheduled to take? We're going to get a game 3, Gabby.
Yeah, that was very well played. I really like how Eric played that game.
I do too. God, he turned the corner on that game,
Oh, yeah.
and it just buried him. Haibing really was kind of, he fell into that thing that happens for Rally not as often as you think it would, which is that he kind of didn't have the pieces. I mean, to Eric's credit, he did take away one of them and exile it, but still, you know, you think the Rally deck looks a little more fragile than it actually is.
Yeah.
All right, let's take a look at Brock Parker versus Wing Chun Yam here. And again, both players are also at 7-0.
Yeah, so it looks like several things have been bounced this game on Brock's, and we don't know what's in Wing Chun Yam's hand, but probably a couple of things that maybe can't be played at this point.
Probably.
Yeah. There's a lot of creatures.
He is up a game, though.
Yeah, that said, Brock's still looking pretty good right here. Just a Siege Rhino on defense. Not too scary.
I mean, Siege Rhino's kind of scary. You're not scared of a Rhino?
Not really. I feel like Rhino has just...
That's because you were playing Obs on Aggro forever. You're just used to that card. Tell you what, being on the other end of that card, it is scary.
Too spooky for you?
Yeah, it is.
It's funny because I feel like when you play with these cards sometimes that look so scary and then you get used to playing them, you see all the times that they're totally useless and you're like, oh, I drew this card. It's supposed to be the best card in my deck. It really doesn't do anything for me right here.
It kind of evens out your viewpoint on it a little
Yeah.
bit. Yeah, that's funny.
So
this is a flashback collected
Yeah.
company for Brock. Brock is a...
he is going to bounce that Siege Rhino. See, I'm telling you, he has no fear. No respect for the Rhino. Yeah. And everyone's going to crunch in.
you know, Brock is a Pro Tour champion.
Yes.
Team Pro Tour.
Which, it was a while ago, right?
Long time ago.
Mhm.
He won with William Huey Jensen before William Huey Jensen came back and Matt Lindy. But Brock, you know, for his part, he does have 8 GP top 8s on his resume as well.
That's
So
really impressive.
He's a individual performer as well.
He also kind of had a break in the middle, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
big break.
And he plays a lot
Same
of poker
time.
nowadays.
Yes. He's actually a professional.
There you go.
He's very good.
So here, if you're a Wing Chun Yam, you're in a tough spot. You really want to be able to play a couple of creatures here. Because if you just play Rhino and then you try to block one of the other creatures, if you block the Husk, your Rhino's going to die. And if you block anything else, you will die very quickly to the Husk. So it looks like he's going to go with the Anafenza / potentially playing... yeah, that looks like a Dromogus command. Yeah.
Indeed. So Anafenza is going to take out the Zulaport Cutthroat here.
Yeah, so Brock's going to stack it to the Husk. Still not looking great. I mean, Anafenza is a great blocker here, but it's entirely possible that John just has another way to bounce it. They might have a Sidisi's Faithful. You know,
Yeah?
the deck got so much better when it started being able to bounce all these things.
Yeah, Reflector Mage and Sidisi's Faithful really do seem to combine for some weird tempo wins that the deck you just wouldn't think it would normally have.
Yeah.
Like you said, if he can bounce it here, he can get in. And if he wants to force the issue, like, for example, if he has a Rally of the Ancestors in hand, he can also just sacrifice the Reflector Mages to get in for a big hit with the Nantuko Husk. It can cleanly attack either over or through or past the Anafenza, even at 5/5.
So I can't see very clearly what's in John's graveyard, but he does have a copy of Rally the Ancestors. So if they're
He's got a Rally in his hand?
He
yeah,
does.
Okay,
He
that's
does.
business.
Oh yeah, this is definitely business.
Yeah.
Wing Chun has 1 black mana untapped. If you were tapped, you could potentially try to go for a...
All right, let's just stay here for a minute. Our first match has started again. We're going to go in just a second, but I just want to see what Brock comes up with for this turn. You can watch if you'd rather keep up on the main match. That's Eric Froehlich in your lower right corner, and Haibing's on the left there. But I do just want to see how this turn plays out. We don't have to stay for the entire thing because it looks like Brock is in good position to finish up here. But I am curious how Brock pieces his turn together. It looks like he went with Sidisi's Faithful there just to get Onofensa out of the way, and this does clear the way for a nice attack.
Yeah, so he's getting in for at least 6, putting him on a 2-turn clock. Then you have to deal with the Rhino coming down and gaining 3 life again, but I think Brock has a couple more creatures he can play to where next turn should just be lethal. Yeah. So there's a Catacomb Sifter, another Nanduko Husk. With 2 husks, Wing Chun's just going to be able to block 1.
Yeah.
So you can just eat the rest of the team to the unblocked husk, and that's just a win. I mean, you have to be a little careful of
even
removal.
then, he could eat a bunch of them and then just sack, making sure that he sacks the 2 Reflector Mages, and he can get back 2 Reflector Mages and a Sidisi's Faithful at instant speed.
Yep.
And just be like, your team goes away, sack all these things again, and he's going to take 100. All right, so that's going to do it for that game. Let's jump back over to our main match. Brock Parker evening things up against Wing Chun Yam. So we'll keep an eye on that one. If this match finishes quickly, we'll be able to go back there and see the end of that one as well. So in the meantime, we're in the early stages of Game 3 here, where Haibing Hu looks like he's got a Jace Vryn's Prodigy just about ready to transform here. And he's even got a Collected Company in the graveyard.
Oh, that is very nice. You're right.
For Eric Froehlich, he's just got a couple of lands, but the duress is why there's a Collected Company in the graveyard.
Yeah, this really showcases the power of Jace. You know, Jace is not the strongest card in the rally deck. There's decks that he's better in, but here you can just still see how incredible of a card he is. Being able to flashback the Collected Company. If by any chance Rally the Ancestors ends up in your yard, you could potentially flashback it there too. Just a very powerful card. So here we go.
And he's even got the land right now for the Collected Company.
Yeah.
How is that possible, though? Did Eric miss a land drop here?
Eric might have missed a land drop earlier this game. I think that's the only way that would be the case.
Yeah. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs.
No. Oh, this is really bad because Haibing actually already minus Jace.
Right, so now he
already did that before playing his land, which was like just a slight, like you wouldn't normally do it that way, but whatever if I'm playing my land anyway. Yeah. But if you're not playing that land, this is not good news for Haibing.
Wowza. So a little bit of a misstep for Haibing here. You know, this might be... All right, so it's not all lost.
No, he basically just tore up a few loyalty counters on Jace, which could absolutely matter.
100%.
Now he now can't Collected Company next turn off of the flashback.
Right.
Now Jace is down to 2 loyalty.
I will say that this could be a lot worse. You know, Eric doesn't have any creatures in hand, so he could have gotten really punished if he had something like Soulfire Grandmaster. Because Soulfire just gets to attack, and then Haibing would have to trade the Grimhair Specs, which isn't what he wants to do in this spot.
Wow. Well, we're going to have to see how much this ends up punishing. We know that is going to be a serious misstep for Haibing, but can he recover is what I want to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because he still has Jace, he still has a Grimhair Specs. It wasn't unmitigated disaster, but it was a major setback.
The tough thing, too, is, like, we are in round 8 at this point. You know, these players have been up very early, long day, long matches of Magic. That kind of stuff happens.
Yeah.
It just sometimes you're in round 8 and that kind of stuff happens.
Oh, Radiant Flames to take down the Harspecs immediately. And, yeah, this could really start falling apart here.
Yeah. So Haibing has access to a Reflector Mage, but there's no creatures on Eric's side. That doesn't really help. See, and this is another turn where he could put a potentially flashback the Collected Company.
Yeah, this is a nice sequence here for Eric because he's going to get to play Painful Truths, and he gets to leave up Dispel in case disaster strikes.
Yeah.
Or in case Haibing just decides to cash in Jace right now.
And if you're Haibing, you got to be very suspicious here. Just untapped basic island.
I don't think he was very suspicious. He's just going for it. I agree with you. The island's very ominous there. And yeah, Eric just gets to dispel this.
Wow.
Wow, this is just working out beautifully for Eric here. And that was Haibing's last card in hand? No, he's got 2 more.
He's got 2 more, but I think they're 2 lands.
I think you're right.
There's a Reflector Mage and a land.
Oh, God.
That's so brutal.
So now the interesting part is, can Eric be the one to start taking over the game as far as getting Haibing Hu dead? Because the one thing he doesn't want to do is let Haibing have turn after turn of draw steps while Eric is sitting here dirtling around. He wants to get a threat out.
That's definitely true. But the
I don't think he has a threat.
He doesn't have a threat. He has Painful Truths, which will, in theory, draw him into a couple of threats. The Shambling Vent can eventually start attacking, but attacking with Shambling Vent isn't really where you want to be in this matchup.
Yeah, Eric has much better ways to actually close out. So I didn't see it 100%. Maybe you did, Gabby. I'm assuming that Eric's left up a Disdainful Stroke with this mana.
He's at least representing it. I see a blue card at the very end of Eric's hand. It's not a land. It looks like it could be a stroke.
Okay.
Yeah, it is.
It is a stroke. Okay. So this all makes good sense if you're sitting in Eric Froehlich's seat, because he's basically just preventing Haibing Hu from having a Collected Company or Rally or something like that to get him. How good is a Rally here? What does it get back up? Jace and a Grim Haruspex?
There's a Haruspex in the Jace.
Suppose he would probably do that if he had drawn it, but Collected Company is really what he wants here.
Yeah, no, I mean, Rally just not even great here.
No.
Yeah, he really needs some Collected Company.
He doesn't even have double white either. Look at that.
The nice thing too is that
That's
Eric
weird,
having
does he not have a Plains in his deck? He does.
He does.
Weird, because he just cracked Evolving Wilds, but he got a Forest with it.
That's true. He does have the one Canopy Vista, so he's not. He will be able to cast that Rally soon if he does find it.
Yeah. Oh, I see. He's already got it in his hand. That's why.
Oh, there you go.
The Plains is in his hand. All right, so Reflector Mage, it's going to get killed immediately with Fiery Impulse. Eric has no wish of letting Haibing start chipping away with some random, value creatures. He wants to make sure the board stays perfectly clear. But again, Eric still needs to find a way to start applying pressure.
Eric's been able to maintain control of this game really, really well. The nice thing too is he does have the Dig Through Time in hand. So if
Eric
he doesn't,
does?
Yeah, he does. So if he doesn't find, he could be looking for Chandra here at any point. This closes out the game very quickly. But even something like that Soulfire Grandmaster is doing a little bit of work here. He's been able to trim down everything Haibing's doing.
Is he going to play it? No. See, and Eric's just being careful here.
He's being careful.
Leaving up Disdainful Stroke. It makes perfect sense. He knows the way that he loses this game. And he's flooding, right? Eric has drawn a lot of extra cards this game. He's played 2 Painful Truths for full amount. But he has drawn a fair amount of lands here, and he doesn't want to let this game slip away by Haibing just finding, a Collected Company or a Jace or something and kind of getting him.
I mean, I really like how he's playing because, he correctly identifies. There are things in the matchup that will matter, things that won't matter. Collected Company in the spot, that's the card he's going to lose to, right? So just there's no need to play around, and he has, Dig Through Time in hand. He's going to be able to draw more cards. He has a Soulfire Grandmaster. He can maybe start at some point Soulfire Grandmastering, buying back the Disdainful Stroke. That is something he'll be able to do. So, no need to overplay your hand into that sort of thing.
Looks like Eric's going to go ahead and crack this Flooded Stream on this upkeep as Haibing just past the turn back. As sad as can be. This is a bad spot for him.
Oh, yeah, this is not an enviable position.
Right, he had a misstep early, and then things have not gone well since for him, as Eric has, at least from Haibing's seat, Eric seemed to have the answer for everything.
It stinks, too, because sometimes you have those games where you see the mistake that you make, and then you see it punish you so hard through the rest of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And that just sometimes...
We've all been there.
Oh, my God. And it happens.
I do hate that. By the way, you're lucky it was me in the booth with you for that and not Luis, because he would have claimed he's never made one, so...
Wait, wasn't it both of you guys
Wasn't
it both of you guys in the booth when that happened?
What?
Earlier?
What, did he say he never made a mistake in the booth earlier?
Oh, no.
I just meant you were saying everybody makes mistakes. He probably would have claimed.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Well,
no, I thought
most people do.
I thought we were talking about the last Grand Prix where I did something like this, and it was like every single turn that passed afterwards, you could see that whatever mistake I made on like turn 2 was just awful.
I think we've all been there.
Yeah. So Eric's gonna cast that Dig Through Time.
Is he going to find a Chandra? Because that's what he wants, right?
That's what he wants, yeah.
You said that a minute ago, that's how he can just close out this game with the quickness, and I bet you that's exactly what he wants to see in this dig pile. Ooh, right on top there. There's one down.
Yeah, so Snap Chandra. I think the other card might have been another. I think it's a draw spell. I think it was a Painful Truth. But I'm not 100% sure. Either way, the Chandra's awesome for Eric.
You know what it was?
What was
it? Was Kalidas.
Ooh,
Yeah.
very nice.
Which just helps Eric seal the deal even further, just to make sure that he doesn't get randomed out at some point.
Right, because Eric just wants to make sure at this point that he's able to play Chandra and still be able to counter whatever Haibing's doing. So it's going to be a little bit of time before that Chandra comes down, I think. He could also just jam into it. He's been playing so careful all of this game, I don't think there's any reason for him to.
Has he played a land?
I think he did.
You know what he's going to do? He's going to clear the way. He's going to play a duress first to see what's in his hand. There was only one unknown card there, or excuse me, he didn't know either card. Yeah, so anyway, he doesn't have an actual target for it, but he may just slam Chandra here.
I mean, you open yourself up to him.
Does he have another red mana? Negative.
No.
All right, well, he's going to have to take care of that issue if he wants to play Chandra, so he will once again leave up Disdainful Stroke.
Right, he doesn't
have
to.
No, not at all. And there's that second red mana
That's
as well.
That's the nice thing. I mean,
yeah,
that's a
I love how
Smoldering
Eric's
Martian
playing this.
Yeah. That's the nice thing about watching these really, really good players play too. You can see that they have all these windows where there's a difference between playing careful and just playing kind of reckless. And he's not playing, Eric's not playing scared. He's just playing very careful. He knows exactly the cards that matter. He knows what sequence he's going to lose to. He just never plays into that. And look at this. Look at how this match is going.
No, that's a great point. And, the way he's played this, given his mana situation, he can play Chandra next turn and have mana left over still for Disdainful Stroke, and he can win in 2 turns from that position. He can just be like plus Chandra, 10U, and then do it again the next turn and the game's over.
Yeah, so Eric this turn has the ability to do that. He gets to go Chandra, hit for 1,000,000, still have Disdainful Stroke. Haibing doesn't really even have a sequence here where he can go rally, respond, rally again. He doesn't even have enough lands for that, and he can't
Nor
cope.
does he have the rally.
Nor does he have the rally.
All right, so here we go. Our first taste of Chandra here in the feature match area, and she's great.
Ruh-roh.
6
Coming in
damage plus the 3, so boom.
Yeah, coming in for 9.
Yep, 9 damage here, and Haibing Hu falls
Last
down
draw.
to 6.
It's not good enough.
Nope, Nantuko Husk is not going to get the job done here.
Yeah, so Eric went full Jeskai in this match.
Wow,
this is
he
exactly
sure did.
This is exactly what the deck wants to do. It just, little removal spell here, a little removal spell here, draw a lot of cards, take over the game. Now you have Chandra in play. What are you gonna do?
I mean, that's the thing is that we're gonna see Chandra is gonna be the one to kind of finish off the game on Eric's side. So she looks like, oh, that's a great powerful spell. But the truth of the matter is this was a game that was all about painful truths. Like Eric drew 6 cards. Right? I mean, he is just churning through his library there because he had a lot of lands in hand at one point, but it didn't matter because he was able to find action. He went truth, dig through time. And that put him so far ahead of what Haibing was doing. It looks like Eric's just going to force the issue here.
Yeah, targeting the Husk knowing that it does mean that something else is probably going to die, but he gets the nice value from Kalidas right there.
Yeah, he gets exiled as well. So there's no trigger there, but he does get a zombie.
Yeah.
Yeah, Haibing Hu, you got to feel for him here, right? I mean, he had a misstep early, and on top of it, every little thing. I mean, even that. He can't even get his card and his life off of that, right?
He's just dead right now.
Yeah.
The Chandra's enough. If Eric had any one removal spell, it didn't even have to be at the end of the turn. He's tapped out. Yeah.
He still has the vents down there as well. Now, he could block and go and take 5 here, though, right?
If Eric doesn't have another removal spell, then yes. It looks like he might not, or he would just go for the win. That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm surprised he didn't. He does have a Shambling Vent there. He just activate that and go off.
Eric could have flashbacked with Jace, cast a Fiery Impulse, kill one of the creatures, and just win.
No, he has already
Could
plus
he not?
Jace this
Oh,
turn.
did he?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, this is all academic. He's getting Haibing down to 1 here anyway, and look at that
well,
board.
Yeah, Eric can't lose, basically.
Yeah, but I am surprised that given that Haibing was tapped out, he didn't just go ahead and kill him right there.
Yeah.
Whatever. That was rally off the top, I think.
Was it?
Yeah. Does it do anything? Eric still has the Disdainful Stroke, right? Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
So it looks like Haibing is
He's
going to
go-
do
he's
it on
gonna
his
try,
upkeep,
yeah.
and Eric says,
There
nope,
you go.
had it the whole time, and he actually did have it the whole time, and that's going to do it. Eric Froehlich improves to 8-0, and Haibing Ho, who is at 7-1,
Mhm.
like, is still a very good start. Again, kind of hometown hero. You know, he's from Texas. I don't actually know what city he's from, but good stuff. And hey, we do get game 3 here from Brock Parker and Wing Chun Yam. So what's going on here, Gabby? What are you seeing on the board here? I see a Visionary.
We're kind of in the middle of the game at this point. It looks like Rhino and a couple of things have died. There's a cut on the other side of the board. So John Brock Parker is at the point of the game where Rally might start doing a couple of things between Elvish Visionary in the yard, Sidisi's Faithful. There is that Husk. I believe that's a Husk that's over in the corner. Don't know if he has Rally in hand, but you know, the board right now, even though John Brock Parker is at 8 right now, it's not actually looking that bad for him. Jan doesn't have that much pressure, just that Warden of the First Tree, though if that is I presume, a Den Protector, getting back that Siege Rhino is going to be pretty nice for him.
Oh, jeez.
That's pretty good.
And Reflector Mage has been so good.
Yes. Reflector Mage has been very impressive. Basically since it was printed. It's been really, really very good. So see, this is the tricky thing about Magic, Marshall. You see the life totals of 8 versus 21, and you're like,
I know who's ahead, right?
yeah, who's ahead though? It looks like Brock's doing pretty good at this game. Yeah, we haven't been able to take a look at Yam's hand very well. We do assume that that's probably a Den Protector, so the best thing he could get back right now is Rhino. He's not really into the removal spells at this point. Removal spells are so awkward against Rally because you just kill their stuff and then they're like, just kidding, they're all back.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to back up those removal spells with serious pressure to make that worth it. Because if your long-term game plan is just to kill all of Rally's creatures, that is not going to work.
So Warden of the First Tree, and I think it's another green creature. I'm not sure what it is. None of this looks very good, though. Looks like Brock has Reflector Mage, Ailey, and... Was that Sidisi? That might be crazy. Does he have that in his sideboard?
Let's take a look. Here's his list right here, Gabby. You take a look at that.
Let's see. Yes, I am crazy. He indeed does not have Sidisi. His Sidisi is Faithful.
So it's Reflector Mage then.
Yeah.
All right, so it was Den Protector as you predicted, and he's going to get back an ultimate price here. That does allow him to kill Nantuko Husk. Oh, cancel that order. Wing is trying to decide what it is he wants to get back with that Den Protector now.
See, I don't know about getting back the removal spell here. Like, you're not putting a lot of pressure here. What exactly is the game plan if you take that ultimate prize?
I guess it's to kill the Husk and just keep Brock off of, you know, shenanigans, basically. Like, just if his board is literally a 2/3 and a 1/1,
yeah,
you know, then Wing's in reasonable shape there. But if it's a Husk plus anything scary, then he could just lose out of nowhere. He's going to not get that back, though.
Right.
He actually does going to get back the Dromicus Command. Let's see what he does with it.
I mean, it serves the same purpose, except he's going to end up with a counter at the end.
Kind of. I mean, the problem is the Husk can just rumble, right?
Yes.
Like, he could just sack his creatures to it and actually have it trade off whatever it's fighting, which is a big difference.
Yeah, but Yam is at 20 life right now, so it's not, you know, he's not under a ton of pressure from that Husk yet. He potentially has another way to get rid of the Husk in his hand as well. So it looks like we're going to see that fight.
Yeah, we're going to see the fight, though, with Heir of the Wilds. This way he guarantees that the Nantuko Husk dies, and he gets a counter on the Den Protector. Nice. I like that from Wing. That's a nice
Yes.
little play there.
I like that too.
Yeah, you know, he was going to take back the ultimate price to make sure that he killed the Husk, but then he looked at his hand and he thought, well, wait a minute. I've got an Heir of the Wilds. We'll just do it that way.
Absolutely. And, you know, Brock's deck is not fantastic at blocking that Den Protector.
As you can see,
Yes.
he's down to 4.
The one scary thing is there's so many ways for Brock to bounce this Den Protector right now. If he does find one of those ways, and he does have a rally in hand, there's a Faithful in the yard, so it is going to happen.
Yes.
But he puts himself in a really good spot to win by doing this, as opposed to, you know, he's giving himself like an out to win in a tough situation. Obviously, the rally here is going to be very good.
But for the time being, he's just going to go ahead and get rid of the Den Protector by bouncing it with ta-da, Reflector Mage. Now, I actually haven't seen this interaction. Can he play it as a morph, since that's not a Den Protector?
You can.
You can, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so at least Wing has that going for him, where he's going to be able to kind of get things going again fairly quickly. But of course, ye old summoning sickness still counts, and Brock Parker sitting at 4 life.
Yeah, and I mean, casting a casting a, you know, morph. Casting a morph does not, especially against this board right now, is not really where you want to be, so.
Let's see what he comes up with here. By the way, these players have had time called on them for the round, so we're going to be going into turns here pretty quickly. And that certainly could be relevant. This is 0, in fact, on Wing's turn.
You know, it's interesting because Yam is so close to finishing out the game, but as long as Brock has that Rally the Ancestors in hand, it's not looking like he can't really win the game. So then the question now becomes, can Brock finish out Yam in enough turns? He's going to have turn 1, 3, and 5.
Yeah, he gets 3 turns of his own.
So he does have a little bit of time to string something here together. That said, Yam is at 20 life. Well, 18 now.
It's a lot of work to do. So if you noticed also, Brock decided to sacrifice his Reflector Mage on end step there to Ailey, so that did put him back up to 7 life as well, just sort of bolstering his life total. But Brock's hand looks nice. He's got Collected Company and Rally.
Right, and Brock doesn't really care about sacking the creature right now. It's nice to move out of range for whatever Yam could do, like any shenanigans that could happen in the next turn.
Yeah.
But also he has that Rally, so, you know, getting a card in the yard, not a problem at all.
Rally looks absurd here,
it
too.
looks very
Look at
good.
his graveyard.
I think the only problem right now with his Rally, the Rally looks amazing, don't get me wrong. There is no Zulaport Cutthroat.
You're right.
And without a Cutthroat, he has a way to have a really good turn. However, he doesn't really have the way to kill Yam.
To win.
Yes.
Now, remember, there is a Collected Company.
Yes.
So I guess that's what he's going to try to find with it.
I think he would be very happy to see a Collected Company here.
Yeah. Brock's going to crack a fetch land here. Now, could he also, you know, one thing I see here, Gabby, is he does have 2 Nantuko Husk, I believe. Yeah, he's got 2 of them in the graveyard. So can he try to set up a win with that too?
Yeah, potentially. And the one thing that you would be a little spooked here if you're Brock is that Yam is playing with 2 untapped lands right now. So this could be a Hallowed Moonlight, and
oh yeah,
you could put yourself in a position where if they have Hallowed Moonlight, you just won't win. You'll tie. They won't kill you, but you just won't win. So that's something he's, I'm sure, certainly considering. So it looks like, is this Rally?
It
yes.
is. Boom!
Oh,
Hallowed
wow.
Moonlight. You called it, Gabby, and that's exactly what he had.
Too spooky for you. Wow. All right. Wow.
Holy smokes.
And that's the thing, though, Brock. I think Brock was completely correct to do that, but now.
I mean, given the turns, you know, what choice does he have, right? Wow.
Wow.
That was gross. We knew we'd see a lot of that card, and I'm sure Brock has seen plenty of it, but that can't have felt good at all.
I think alternatively, there's a chance that Brock could have played Collected Company and not have his creatures die to the Rally. You know, he is going to get a couple more turns in this game since he has turn 1. So he could have Collected Company, looked for his Zulaport Cutthroat. It's possible that the first company eats the Hallowed Moonlight, not necessarily. But
I think it would.
I think it would,
yeah.
right. And so then that clears the way for the Rally the Ancestors. And so the first 2, like those creatures get exiled, that's whatever. And then he gets to untap. If he manages to find a cutthroat, that's great. And if not, he still has those Elvish Visionary. So he could potentially draw the cutthroats from the Visionaries, play the Visionary, he has enough lands. I don't know how much he has tapped. I assume it's 5 right there. So he has enough to play the cutthroat, and then he has enough husk to sack enough things to potentially attack, drain, and hopefully win on turn 5.
Well, that's off the table.
It's off the table now.
Because all of those creatures got exiled.
Right.
How brutal is that?
That
And
was
you
so
can't you can't undo it either.
Yeah.
X equals 3. They're all coming in.
I will say too, I don't think Brock would have done that if they weren't under the pressure of time right here. I really strongly think that Brock would have played that differently.
I see.
And I think he would have played in such a way where he didn't play into something that looked so suspicious right there.
Crazy.
But you have to, he's playing to win, right? He's not playing to be
He was.
7-0. Right.
I don't think he is now.
Not anymore.
No,
I think
and he almost is dead here. Siege Rhino was actually lethal if not for Ailey here gaining him just 3 life to stay at 3 life. But now he's facing down a Den Protector that he can't currently block and a Siege Rhino. And still, of course, the Warden there, too. Wow, it looks like Wing might actually pull this one out here.
this was insane.
This was insane. Let's see what happens. It's not over.
Is that a collected company?
He's got a Collected Company in his hand from before, and he just drew an Elvish Visionary.
Yeah.
So, I mean, certainly not over here. I don't see how Brock can actually pull a win in this scenario, but
I think at this point Brock is playing for a tie.
for a tie.
Yes. He definitely can't pull out a win. What he can do is hope that between the Visionary and those collected companies, he finds a way to either draw, he could draw cut potentially here if he has them in the deck, take care of that Den Protector, or take care of the Rhino, so as to not die. And then collected company can also find either a Faithful or more ways to bounce.
Yeah, good point. So let's see what it finds. So far he's found a Visionary, a Cutthroat, a Husk, and another Cutthroat.
Wow.
Is this enough to keep him alive? It very well could be.
Could be.
Remember, he can make the Husk huge and then sacrifice it to Ailey as well to gain a lot of life. Like if he goes like Husk Cutthroat here.
Husk Cutthroat, sack, gain a bunch of life.
Yeah. And remember, he's got that, what's it called in his hand too? The
Elvish Visionary.
Yeah.
Right, and he'll be able to, he'll have enough mana to Elvish Visionary and keep 1 land up for Ailey.
Exactly. He has exactly that much mana.
Wow, I can't believe how swingy this this
kidding.
turns was.
Hallowed Moonlight.
Yeah, wow. That was incredible.
Nice sideboarding Wing.
So he is going to go ahead and do that. So between Husk and Cutthroat, does he get to live?
That is the question.
I think he... Yeah, so he's going to do all that.
Couldn't quite see what Brock pulled there, but...
He can. Yeah, he can survive this turn. But that's all he can do. He can't win.
Well, all he needs to do is survive this next turn.
You know what? He could... Now that he has Cutthroats in the yard, if he survives through this turn and he untaps and finds another Rally the Ancestors, I can't see everything that's in his yard, but it's not inconceivable that he could potentially pull out a win somehow.
With just the 1 Cutthroat?
I think... Does he have another one? No, he does not have anything.
He got exiled to Hallowed
No,
Moonlight.
then he can't win. Yeah.
Wow, this is going to be close. It's up to Wing. He's going to have... I wouldn't call it perfect information, but he's going to know everything that he needs to deal with here. And to see if he can get the kill. Some notable things from Wing's side. He also has a Shambling Vent. So that could be an additional attacker here if needed.
Oh, actually, hold on. You're right. That Shambling Vent might be the difference.
Yeah. Of course, Siege Dad has Trample.
He could just draw a Siege Rhino right here.
That would be the cleanest route.
Oh!
He drew Gideon. That could be really good.
Okay, so if he plays Gideon, and he could Emblem right here.
Yeah, he just plays it in emblems. Is that Warden's?
That Warden, so this is the thing. Before, he could have potentially tried to block that Warden while it was like make the Husk big, and then block the Warden.
How big is the Warden?
Right now?
Yeah, I'm not seeing any indicator other than it being a 1/1. I would assume that it's bigger than that.
Yeah. So I think we might see that shambling. So he has a choice, right? He can make. Does he have 2 Gideons? Yeah.
Either way, one is probably pretty good. Wing is just sort of going through the motions, trying to figure this thing out here. It feels like 2 activations from Ailey, or even just 1, should be able to keep Parker alive.
Yeah. So what Yam's trying to figure out here is he knows he's not under any threat to die the next turn. He's just trying to figure out if there's any way he can kill him. And truly in the spot, John's going to be able to survive this attack. I don't see. Is that the only thing that's rumbling?
We should really fix that graphic. But I didn't even know his first name was John until today, and I've known him for like 4 years.
Oh yeah, I keep saying John, and I'm like, I
yeah,
know
because it's on there. But
I know that's Brock.
It's just Brock. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so.
I mean, I'm assuming this is a lethal attack of some variety, but it shouldn't matter.
I wish we knew. Yeah, I really wish we knew if that warden had become bigger at some point, because it looks like what he's looking to do here is level him up to.
I think it was just a 1/1.
Oh.
Yeah. There we go. All right, you made it into a 3/3. You did it. Sack this. Trigger Cutthroat.
This just isn't going to win the game
No,
for Yam.
it's not going to win the game. He can pump the warden again, but it still isn't getting the job done.
Right.
It's still just a 3/3, and the Husk is a 4/4. So that just has Wing gain some life, and apparently Wing is playing for the draw as well.
Yeah. So it looks like, yeah.
Is there anything here for Brock?
No, I don't think even if he draws Rally here, it matters. Even Coco doesn't do anything. Not at 22 life. I think Yam ran through the numbers, saw I can't kill Brock right now. Maybe I just want to be that play, what he just did right now, getting that life.
Yeah.
That's 100%. I just don't want to die from 21 or 19 life or wherever he was at.
Exactly. And if you can't kill him that turn, then the next best thing is just to gain some life.
Right. And I think that is what we see right there. He just doesn't want to die in some Rally shenanigans way.
All right, last draw step here for Brock. He found a Rally, too. Good God. There isn't a win here, right? Just to be clear.
He can't. He can. So what's the best he can do? He can
get
bring back that
Reflector
Defector
Mage and a
Mage,
Visionary.
bounce that guy. A Visionary could potentially draw him into another creature that he could sack to the Husk. Yeah, so he's going to get the cards in the yard at this point. Make the Husk big, make the Husk big. Does he have any other way to bounce one of the 2 creatures? Because right now one of them's going to be able to block it. He has a Reflector Mage in hand. He doesn't have anything, right? I don't see another bounce creature.
He just has one in the graveyard there, yeah.
Yeah, so that Husk is a 6/6 right now. Yeah, so we see 2 creatures sacked to the Husk.
I mean, if he had 2 ways to bounce creatures out of the way, he might be in business here.
Right, he would go to
but
8,
Wing's at 20.
10, right, 8, 10, 12, 14.
Okay, so
I
he
think
can
there's a
hit
Harris
something
with
with
16.
Visionary here.
It's just...
I mean, what if he finds a Reflector Mage with this Visionary? Does that do it?
Does he have enough mana to cast it?
Yeah, right there. Like, because the Visionary's coming in off of the Rally.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So
sorry,
he'll have
those
3.
are all the lands that are tapped. I missed in the corner. All right, so here goes Rhino. Yeah, so a Visionary finds a bounce here.
A bounce creature?
Oh, Coco, so close.
Company. He's 1 mana short from casting it.
Well, he'd still only be getting in for like 16, and then he could drain 17, 18, 19, 20. Oh my gosh, he could kill him. He could kill him. Had he found a bounce spell here, he could have killed him.
Yeah, he needed to find it with
Wow.
the visionary.
Wow.
He's going to force a block here.
Wow.
And Wing figured it out. So that's going to do it. So really slim chance on that last turn for Brock. He actually almost got there, but couldn't quite do it. And that is going to do it here for round 8 from GP Houston.
For casting that.